everyone. Hi. My name is Ria Reyes. I'm from the People Operations team here at Google. Welcome. Welcome to Shine Bright and Inspire 3, Be Global. This is actually our third chapter of a series aimed at empowering women to mold the corporate culture into an environment wherein they can actually be very happy and successful. We hope today's event will inspire everyone and help support women keep shining brightly. The first half will be a talk show with selected women leaders in Japan. And for the latter half, we will also have our networking time at the Cafe N on the 30th floor. For the networking time, we will have some light refreshments. We hope you enjoy that. For general housekeeping, please turn off your cell phones and please refrain from taking photos or videos. Also, there is a time dedicated for your questions, so please feel free to ask questions in both Japanese or English during the Q&A part. At this point, I'm very honored to call on our Google Japan's Marketing Director and APAC Director for Google Brand, Miki Iwamura, for some opening remarks. Please give her a hand.
Hi, everyone. So welcome, and thank you for joining our third Shine Bright and Inspire event. I'm very excited that this is getting traction, and we are welcoming even bigger audience at this venue and through YouTube. That's really great. Thank you. And before we get started, let me briefly talk about why diversity matters at Google. And Google is known for its technology products, like search, maps, YouTube, and Android. And the motivation behind these technology products and innovation is one simple belief, which is we believe that technology can make people's lives better and change the world. So this is at the heart of Google and at the heart of all the Googlers here. And this also means that we care about innovation for people. So that's why diversity matters at Google. So there are three main reasons why we care about diversity at Google. First, our users are diverse. And Google's mission is to organize world's information and make it accessible to everyone. So we need to cater to diverse users' needs. And second, diversity drives innovation. And why is that? Because diversity provokes questions. And good questions drives good discussion, inspiration, and ultimately, great innovation. And third, diversity is the future. With the internet, the world is connected more. And diversity in the world is becoming even clearer. So it is critical as a company to stay ahead of the change. So it is not just a good thing, but it's strategically important. So these are three main reasons we are committed to make diversity reality internally and externally. So can you move on to the next slide? So it is much known, actually. We haven't really talked about it that much, but we have many initiatives to empower women internally and externally. And Women at Google is one of the unique approaches we take at Google. It is an employee-driven support group. And we do many fun activities, like just you saw on the slide, and also a bit more serious ones, such as trainings and mentoring program. And Shine Bright and Inspire is one of the initiatives. And through this event, we want to connect with like-minded women like you, men like you, and also companies and organizations. And we also want to give lights on great, inspiring women out there, and also give opportunities for women to inspire each other. And we believe this is one of the best things we can do to empower women. So thank you again for joining, and I hope you have a great time in connecting each other and also inspiring each other. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Miki-san, for that very, very informative and very warm welcome for everyone. So, next slide, please. Shine Bright and Inspire 3. As we said, this is the third chapter. Our theme for today is Be Global. As the world becomes more and more connected with technology, various companies grow increasingly concerned with expanding their presence globally. With this, the need to expand professional and personal skills to become a global talent has been getting more focus. So what does being a global talent actually mean? Broadly defined as being a high-caliber worker with experience, good market knowledge, transferable skills, and established relationships in various locations, what does it actually take to become a global talent? Let us hear it from some amazing women leaders in Japan who will share with us more about their experience in gaining international exposure and skills to become a global talent. I am very honored to present to you our guest speakers for today. Our first speaker holds a bachelor's degree in political science from Keio University and immediately joined McKinsey as a business consultant for internet and high-tech industries. After 2 years, she moved to Oisix, an online grocery business, during their startup phase. Towards the end of 2005, she rejoined McKinsey as an associate, got promoted to engagement manager, and has worked on Asian region growth strategy for her clients. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our first guest speaker, McKinsey & Company's marketing and consumer insights expert, Naomi Yamakawa. Swedish national, who is Japanese American, raised in Tokyo. Our next speaker holds a bachelor's degree in English literature from Lafayette College in the US and an MBA degree from Stockholm School of Economics in Sweden. She has done brand management at Mattel, business development and marketing at Aunt Stella, and retail operations management at H&M in Sweden, Hong Kong, and Tokyo. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome H&M Japan's Country and General Manager, Christine Edman. And last but definitely not the least, our third speaker has a BA degree in history from King's College, University of London, and master's degrees in history of international relations from the London School of Economics. After a few years of travel in Europe, she returned to Japan to join McCann World Group. With McCann, she has worked in Tokyo, Singapore, Hong Kong, and Shanghai, helping global brands as a strategic planner. Please welcome Google Asia Pacific's YouTube Media and Social Manager, Sakura Irie. And of course, I also have the honor to present to you our talk show host. Former database technical consultant from Oracle, she is a third-year Googler and a longtime internet fangirl. She is originally from the US and has moved to Tokyo to pursue higher education in Japanese. Please welcome our talk show host for SBI 3, Ayaka Alison Sakakibara.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ayaka Allison, but most people here at Google know me as Ali. Welcome to our ladies here today. And just a brief introduction about myself. I work here on the YouTube team here as a partner manager. And I'm also part of the Women at Google initiative here at the Tokyo office. At Women at Google, we do various initiatives, such as a lot of events, and this is just one of them. So Shine, Bright, and Inspire, as Ria just mentioned right now, is just one of the events that we cover. with Shine, Bright, and Inspire, we generally want to make it a platform where women can have an open discussion about success stories as well as challenges that we have, and all while just inspiring others, really, just throughout the process. In this edition, for Shine, Bright, and Inspire, as Ria mentioned, we want to focus on global talent, and we have 3 very successful women here with us. We're very lucky to have them, and we can just kind of talk about success stories as well as challenges that we've faced here in the workplace. Also, we are here at this facility, and in case you're wondering where we are here in the YouTube Space Tokyo. We are actually live broadcasting to our cafe here in the same building. And interesting fact, this is actually not our only YouTube space. We have one in London, we have one in Los Angeles, and exciting news, we're opening one in New York very soon, this coming year. About what we do here at the YouTube space, this is mainly focused on our creators here that we have in the YouTube, I guess, area that we have. We have content creators come in and they create videos and just content to put on their channel. This is also open to our partners, our YouTube partners, who have a lot of companies as well. They just create content here. They can use their facilities, all free of charge, which is great. So we really want to use this Tokyo space to inspire other people, and creators can come in and learn about how to use a lot of the production equipment, and for them to collaborate with other users and just really to make YouTube an even more content-rich platform for us. All right, and if you would like to know more about the YouTube space, just log on to youtube.com/space. All right, so now that we know all about Shine and Bright, we know about women at Google, and we know all about the facility, are you ready to jump into the questions? All right, let's do it. All right, so the first question is very appropriate, I guess. So we have 3 very successful, capable women who are a shining example of global talent. Let's talk about how you got there, right? So I'm sure you each have a story to tell about how you became a global talent and how you ended up where you are. So let's start with you, Sakura.
So very nice to meet you, everybody. So I think my journey started probably at the age of 9. I'm not really a typical kikokushijo or like expat kid of any kind, but I was lucky to have a very eccentric father. And one day he decides that, okay, so maybe my daughter can just be dropped out of nowhere in America, Oregon. And then basically I was told to spend a month of my summer there. And that time I only spoke English, and then I didn't speak English. The only words that I knew was water and also horse. And of course it's not really easy. But I think that was quite an eye-opening experience for me. I mean, after all, you don't really need the language. I mean, language is just a skill, obviously, it's important. But if you actually have like the right, like a passion for something or something to, like have fun with, then you instantly connect. So I think that was really the beginning, that really made me realize that, even if, you are an outsider, but if you are really open-minded enough, then that's really okay. And that was really the big learning for me, and that is really the foundation for me today. That's it for me.
All right. Well, I mean, water and horse, those are two very useful words. So yeah, absolutely.
Especially in Oregon, right?
No, especially. All right. So on to you, Naomi. Yeah, let's hear your story.
My first encounter with, I guess, global world was also involuntary. My, typical, actually this is a typical kikokushijo story or returnee story, is my dad got transferred to the New York office of his company, and I tagged along as a 5-year-old. So basically I grew up as an American elementary school kid, making a transition from a Japanese kindergarten kid. And then I came back to Japan at age 11 and rejoined public school in Japan. And I've actually had a pure Japanese education up to university since then. I think my first interaction with globalization was when I joined McKinsey as a business analyst first, when I was 22. And I was kind of forced grown to become global due to actually a fortunate or unfortunate misunderstanding that because I have an American accent, which I acquired at age 11, I would probably be global. So I got thrust into a lot of global studies. The trouble was I only had the vocabulary of a fifth grade student. So all of a sudden these big business words were being thrust at me. I was always asking, what does that mean? What does that mean? Which put me in a somewhat quaint space. But I think that the initial kind of shock therapy of going into global business actually helped me a lot in terms of the way I grow up in my career. And I've worked in Asian projects, I've worked in European projects, I've worked in Japanese projects, and working at McKinsey actually makes you travel in many ways, not just physically, but in terms of business areas. So that experience has formatted me in a way to become a global consultant, which I fully enjoy doing now.
Wow, you wouldn't guess that she grew up, abroad when she was until 5th grade, right? Yeah. So it gives us a lot of light, being like, oh, well, even if you're a couple years into your career, you can still become a global talent. So
misunderstanding helps, that people
absolutely
think that you can speak, and then they throw you into the middle of Silicon Valley, actually, with that case that, okay, now you can do 20 interviews. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Interviews, but it did help, giving me that opportunity.
All right. And last but not least.
Okay, my global adventure started when I was born, actually. I'm half Japanese, half American, so I was involuntarily, like you also, thrust into the global arms. I grew up in an international school in Japan with 52 nationalities. That was the only reality that I really knew. But the true globalization for me, I have to say, is when I met my Swedish husband and we moved to Sweden. And at that point, I was really... I was really exposed, taken out of what I felt comfortable in, and exposed to a wonderful new world of Sweden, where I started studying an MBA that I had never studied before. And there, on the day of graduation, a newspaper journalist came and said, "So, what do you all bright students want to be when you graduate?" It was pretty late because it was already graduation day. And at that point, I said to them, well, and I'm being quite American and Swedish people are quite reserved, I said, I want to open H&M in Japan. And that line became the headline of this Wall Street Journal type of business magazine, newspaper in Sweden, which happened to be read by the president of H&M, which then changed my life. And that's where my true journey began with H&M, and where I am so thankful every day for that, meeting my Swedish husband, moving over there, and really having this chance, taking that little risk to say a little thing crazy, but got me where I am today.
And for the journalist that put you on the...
Oh, yes, I owe him everything.
It's actually a very famous story, and a lot of people know about it here in the international community, right? All right, well, thank you, ladies. So we just talked about how and why your journey started, and basically how you ended up here. So what other positive skills or qualities, aside from language, which is pretty obvious, do you think you acquired throughout your global journey, I guess? Let's start with Naomi.
Okay, because our eyes met, right? I think in terms of global skills, as you mentioned, I think what's benefited me most is being able to be flexible in a way. So like English, is kind of a base because you do need to talk to people in a way. But I think just having English skills is not enough. But the ability to open up to other cultures and learn from them and actually try to understand the differences is really important. And also, understanding differences means that you also understand your own culture. So I think that is a pretty critical factor. And I think what gave me that skill initially was that fact that I had to transition from Japanese kindergarten to American elementary school kid to Japanese chugakse, right? And like all of a sudden having to wear like uniforms and
it's not an easy
rules
transition.
And all of that. And then jumping back into a world like McKinsey after graduation. But having the eyes to open up and really try to not force rules on others, but try to understand others themselves, actually I think is one of the keys to learning to be global. Because in a way, if you're only stuck to your own opinion or your own culture, no matter how many languages you speak, it doesn't really connect you with other cultures. So I think that's a key important skill.
Right. So you're saying being not just multilingual, but also multicultural is the biggest key to global success.
Exactly.
All right. That's good advice, guys. All right, so let's move on to Christine.
Okay. I was thinking a lot about this. I think the most important thing that I have gained is a global mindset. And that global mindset being open, the reality that so many different truths coexist, this global mindset has given me 3 things that have helped me in managing daily work. First is that it's given me the ability to manage diverse teams. And I think learning how to manage a diverse team, the diversity in a team is the power of the team. So that tool is really strong for me. The second is I've really come to realize now in managing business that you don't have to localize 100%. You can read the environment and learn how to adapt. And that ability to adapt can be your competitive advantage. So that would be the second thing. And the third thing is it's given me the drive to challenge boundaries, to break the mold. Because I've seen things done in Sweden or in US and Hong Kong, and I ask myself, why not here? Why not? Why can't women be promoted on the first day back from maternity? Why can't men take 8 months maternity off? Why not? And that pushing the bounds, not being told it never happens here, but saying why, has actually pushed me forward more to challenge the boundaries in business. So a global mindset has really helped me.
I see. Wow, that's really inspirational stuff. All right. So, Greg, coming to you.
For me, I think it may sound a little bit strange, but I think the key thing is really to know where you come from. And then I think when we talk about globalization, and then instantly you start thinking like, oh my God, do I have to be American? Or maybe I should know some, London slangs, but it's not really about that. Well, it may help, but it's not about that. So I think in order to be, and also I think, for any global people like yourselves, probably it's quite difficult to, say where you actually come from because you travel so many places, all over the world. But at least I think, it's really always helps to know that, for example, in my case, well, I'm from Japan, and also that in addition to that, I'm Asian. So this really, always helps me to understand, especially when I try to introduce my, fellow country people or culture to the global audiences, and then I can also explain why we behave in certain ways. And this actually ultimately lead to earn respect from the the international crowd. And I think it's really a hard thing to do, especially when you're just starting to learn a new language, and of course you want to be, to speak like a native speaker. And of course it's an important effort. But I think at heart, it's always important to know that, we have a root somewhere, and then that's the respect for the root is something that always get the respect globally. So that's it for me.
I actually really second that because often in our company also we talk about how we should be consultants from the Japan office, and one of our kind of mottos is that we want to be Japan representatives, because when you go out into the global world and you're working in global businesses, the way people look at you is, what is your opinion as a Japanese, or what is your opinion from someone who knows a Japanese business context or from an Asian context. So if you can't really answer that view, then there are Americans and there are UK people and there are Australians and Canadians and Europeans and Chinese, right? So you need to actually have that first hurdle as a Japan representative before you start thinking global tribe in a way.
And going back to the multicultural thing too, right? Yeah. Oh, this is really good. All right, awesome. All right, so then the next question is one that you probably haven't been asked before. So we always talk about the positive aspects of being global. So what are some challenges that you've experienced, I guess, or even getting in trouble for just kind of being outspoken or just being, I guess, global? So what are some challenges? Sakura, I'm going to come right back to you.
Okay. So that was one of the hardest questions, and I've been thinking about that. But actually, I think the example that I could give you is comes from my previous work when I was working as a creative planner for an advertising firm. So I was based already in Tokyo, and then I think I already had spent like 2 years, more or less. But then that time, a new project came to me, and then that was to create a campaign for a political party to win votes for women. And then so I was the only girl in the team, and then I was working alongside with 2 senior Japanese guys. And then so anyway, so we just did all the work, and then finally the presentation date came, and then I opened the door and filled with Japanese politicians. And we all know that Japanese politicians can be probably the most conservative people that we can ever meet on the earth. Probably, I don't know, maybe more. But then the biggest mistake I made that time was, although I did know the rules of seating for Japan, I made my way straight to the chair that was actually reserved for the political leader, the party leader. And then, so of course, but I was, so concentrating on my presentation. Oh my God, what should I say in the presentation? I'm so nervous, etc. I didn't really notice anything. But then all the sensei gata, the politicians, were staring at me. And they're like, oh my God, what is this girl doing? And then that is the moment when I still didn't realize. And then I finally rose and then started doing presentation. And that was the only moment when I actually realized that I made a big mistake. But luckily, though, that time, what was really interesting was that the fact that I was a woman played so well in that. And then also, especially given that it was the presentation to teach them how to be more attractive for women. So they started saying like...
Teaching manners.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, and then in the end, at the end of the presentation, what happened was that this leader of this, the political party stood up and it just started clapping hands. I'm sorry, I have to say this in Japanese because it's really hard to translate. But he said, oh, I'm sorry, 女性はすごいね. And I was like, wow, this is such a massive achievement I did. So actually, I mean, maybe I'm not really, answering your question 100%, but I managed because I was a woman, and I didn't actually have to, revert back to, the traditional practice because I was a woman. So I think that we talk about, the disadvantages of, being a, career woman in Japan, still, unfortunately. But I think that probably we are in the day where we actually take this as our advantage and start teaching, how we could actually be. So that's that.
Absolutely, and maybe he thought you did it on purpose. Yeah. Be like, this is for women. I'm taking one for the team.
Either that or you're running for prime ministership or something.
Yeah.
Next term.
Maybe. All right, Christine, I'm coming to you next.
Yeah, my challenge is more business related also, but one of the biggest challenges at H&M Japan is really enforcing the work-life balance. That's extremely important in H&M. And I'm known in the office as the vacation police, because unlike other managers who probably don't want to go and tell your vacation, it's very positive to come and report to me that you are taking your vacation, because I'm going around, when are you taking your vacation? 1 week or 2 weeks? 2 weeks, I hope. To know that actually managing your work-life balance is how we grade or evaluate managers as well. But one thing that really struck me, being still dual nationalities growing up in Japan, I realized how Japanese I was when I also saw everything in Sweden, how women can have a career and children at the same time, and was inspired by everything. Lived in Sweden, saw it firsthand. But when it came to me, when I was pregnant with my first child, I went to my CEO with my head down. I'm so sorry. I felt like a guilty teenager. I'm really sorry, I'm so irresponsible. I'm pregnant. And I was expecting, because I had been appointed for this role and they were sending me abroad, that he would be livid. How irresponsible for me at this brink in my career to take this. And do you know what he said? He turned to me and said, I am so happy for you. Do you want to take a year or 2 off? Then I questioned a little, but what he said to me there is, it's great that you take this time. Because by you taking some time off, you are giving a chance for someone else who might not be ready for country manager to work in your position 6 months, 7 months that you want to be off. So this is great. You've created a space for someone to grow. And I was really surprised by that, and also surprised about myself. Here I am in Japan trying to go work-life balance, women can do it, working mothers, we can do. But deep down inside, I still felt Japanese also. Moshakenai. How can I be? But to know that I have to stick with this, push forward. So that has been my challenge.
And it's all about the mindset, right?
Yeah, it's all about the mindset.
It's just before you go in. So that's really interesting. So, yeah. All right. Last but not least.
Yes, I think the challenge of being, seen as a global talent in kind of the type of work I do, because I do work a lot with domestic companies as clients, right? So some people appreciate the globalness and they like the global area, but some people also think I am not one of them. Meaning that, you don't know domestic business, you don't know how sales works in Japan, you don't know how this thing happens. So it is sometimes they see me as an alien, which works sometimes in benefits because I get away with doing a lot of things that the guys can't actually get away with doing, like just knocking on the bucho's door and saying hi, right? Like it's a bit difficult for a Japanese-looking guy to do it at times where girls are allowed. But sometimes, you're not one of them or not part of the club. And the way I actually try to not go all the way, but, be one of them, like go out for drinks, just be Japanese. I don't really withstand, I'm a global citizen. I don't do after drink, like things like that. Because in the end, I am Japanese. I can abide to those rules. And I actually have fun because you see a different aspect, you grow.
And it's empowering, too.
Yeah, it's empowering. And, it does get you in the doors of their hearts. And in a way, that is just as important as trying to win the hearts of an American or an English person or a Canadian person, because in any case, you're not going to be totally one of everyone, right? So that skill just works the same way for Japanese people as it works for others. And it has, I think, created a lot of flexibility and, learnings for me as well. And I mean, you don't want to be seen as a drinking person all the time, but it does help, yes.
For those of you who don't speak Japanese, we have a word in Japanese with nomu, which means to drink, and communication called nominication. So, yeah.
It's actually a pretty global concept.
I guess so, yeah. But the fact that we have a word for it, it's pretty interesting, all right? Okay, well, we're actually to our last question, and this is a tough one. So let's just say you have some people come up to you and say, no, look, I already know English and I want to use it, but I don't know how to become a global talent. Or someone who's like, I want to become a global talent, I want to learn the language. How do I do it? What is some advice? So let's start with you, Christine. What would be your advice?
My main advice is go abroad. Spend some time abroad, even if you're backpacking or 2 months working in Australia, whatever you do, go abroad, because I am certain it will change you. It will change your perspective. It will change your reality. I grew up in Japan. I knew that I would be here forever. I never thought that I could be a working mom. By me going to Sweden, by seeing a different reality and knowing that can be changed, you've got to join me on that crusade here to see that it's possible. And you will be pushed or challenged in this way. So go abroad. Be inspired. Open your mind. And your doors will open and change your life for sure. Then you can come and join H&M Japan.
A little PR statement there. And I'm sure part of going back to your vacation police thing, you kind of want all your workers to go abroad even, right?
Yes,
to open up their
absolutely,
perspectives.
absolutely, yes, definitely.
So that's part of why you're the vacation police too.
Yes.
Wow, it all comes full circle. All right. Sakura, I'm coming to you next.
Okay, so that's an excellent advice, and I would definitely say that too. But I would say have a sense of humor. I think if you start interacting with people of different background, you can't even imagine. Of course, there are some strange things happen, and there are so many things that is probably irrational to you, or something that you can't really understand why they're doing, etc., etc. But if you encounter in these situations, if you're too serious about it, then it just stresses you out. So I think the key thing is that to be able to enjoy the strangeness that you encounter every day, and then actually just to take that with you, and then just start, going with it. Just go with the flow. I think this is the open-mindedness, easygoingness. I think this is really important. Yeah.
Absolutely, and it makes it more enjoyable and sustainable too, right? Yeah, and it makes it fun and you want to keep going, so that's probably the key. Yeah, great. All right, last but not least.
I may sound a bit serious on this answer, a bit too serious on this answer, but I think if you want to globalize, you need to think about why you want to globalize, right? Because some people want to globalize because they like cultures outside of Japan. Some people globalize because they love Japan and they want to bring that to the world. Some people globalize because they have people they want to work with outside. So I think motivation actually is a big driver. And so the reason I globalized in a way, not just speaking English, was that my passion is consumers, and I just love learning about consumers in Japan, but it's also interesting for me to see how Spanish consumers think or Chinese consumers think, because that excites me. So I do try to work on projects that give me that global aspect because, and I do sometimes go the mile to do that. But I think just saying I want to globalize is tough because you don't know what you're trying to do. So if you have an objective, clarify it, and then if it is, I just really love American culture, go abroad and just spend a year, because then you will be able to embrace it. And then you could probably take something back and connect it to your Japanese roots, and then that will start building the basis for how you want to globalize. But if you are really enthusiastic about a certain theme or a certain industry, really knowing a lot about that industry enough to know what you want to take globally will actually help you global, because then that will create global pull for your knowledge or your skills. So being more specific about what kind of a global person you want to be, I think, is really the key in terms of driving, because it's always not easy too, right?
And being global is a very broad term too, right? So I guess your biggest advice would be just clearly define your motives, set a goal, go abroad, and just be able to laugh at everything and just kind of understand,
right?
Exactly.
It shouldn't be something that you're really looking like this and I need to globalize. That's not really going to be an attractive career to go down.
No, absolutely, and you can't make it about test scores and just all about that, because that's really not being global, right? Like a perfect TOEIC score isn't all about being global at all. So, all right. So that concludes all our questions that we have prepared. I think we're going to go into a Q&A session. So if anyone here, first of all, in this space, and we'll take questions also from the cafe, yes, also. So I think we have a question in the front here. 日本語でも大丈夫です、ちなみに。
Thank you for an inspiring story. It was so great. And I have one question. I want to be a global business person, but for more than 10 years, but I can't because I don't have courage. That's all. I work on digital marketing area in Japan, so the client will be domestic clients, so it's a little bit difficult to go global. And also, I'm working mother, so that I have to think about my son's hoikuen, and then byoin, and next child, or something like that. So it's so being difficult to think about going global. You told that just go abroad, but there are so many things to think. So what I need, please give me advice.
Of course, I understand your situation, and I understand that it's difficult as a working mother in Japan. But I think you don't have to go abroad now. The thing is to have the global mindset. So when you are even in your daily work, being able to see that there are very many perspectives on something, to take decisions from very many perspectives, the way of thinking, the global thinking, you can do. And you can do today. And already you are breaking the mold by being able to manage work and a career and children at the same time. So I congratulate you. So you joined the League of Working Mothers in Japan. So you are actually inspiring other people, I'm sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think you mentioned that you're working in digital marketing, which is actually a very global theme, which is being discussed all over, right? So if you have a spike in your knowledge in working with your Japanese clients, and you have, you do innovative work, even in Japan, I think just being one of the pioneers in this market about doing this in Japan does get you global to one sense. And being global does not mean always going abroad, because everyone has their personal restrictions. There are things like video conferences right now, right? So just having the global mindset of, we're doing things in Japan, maybe this might be interesting for people in other regions, like international conferences, or even WebEx type things. As long as you keep a global mindset, as you mentioned, that you want to take in from global, but you also want to share, I think you're already part of the global community in that sense.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think that the industry you're in, I think it's basically the world is your audience. And then I think, we tend to forget when we're in Japan, but we are in such an amazingly innovative country. And everyone around the world is wanting to listen what you say. So I think, you're basically preparing yourself to talk for, what's the cool stuff that is happening in Japan. And then, the only thing that you need to do is just to find the right audience in the future. So I think that, you're already on the right path. And then I think, and again, like, Christine said, congratulations for your achievement. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot. And I think we have a question from Cafe N, where we're broadcasting to.
So a question from Cafe N is actually, again, some advice about potentially having a family and the timing of having a family. And there's a lot of women in the workplace currently who feel that they need to quit when they want to have a baby. And what's your advice for helping them keep their career, maintaining their career, and continue to climb the career ladder while they have a family?
Who wants to take this one? All right, I guess that's you.
There is no perfect time to have children, I can tell you. You cannot plan to have a child perfectly in your career. You take that choice and you make that decision to be able to start that path. Then how do you stay competitive? Yes, when you try to get back into the workforce as soon as possible, but keep yourself well-read, expose yourself to so many new ideas, keep yourself in the loop. But also, do you know what? Having a child, when they're that tiny that they need, it's only a few years that you actually need to be there for them. Before you know it, they're in elementary school and they don't really care. No. So you have to look at yourself. What H&M does for me is they've looked at me in the long term. So they say to me, you might be maybe less efficient for maybe 2-3 years while your baby is still young. But when your kids are in elementary and high school, in the long run, you will come back. And I believe that you will work extra hard, even harder, because you are out. So don't think that your career is over because you've had a child. You will come back. Timing will change. And it's a very short period of time. Might seem long now. So go make some more babies.
That is really good advice.
I can't really speak firsthand about this because I don't have kids, although I would love to have them. But I think what I've seen successful moms do is that they know what they can do at this timing, and they're also not afraid to ask for help. So people who are afraid, as you say, like saying, sumimasen, I got pregnant, and, sumimasen, I have to go home, and feeling so bad about it that, they start kind of, small, getting into a shell. I think these people suffer. Whereas, some people who are like, I need this today, I need to go home, I need to take this day off, but I can do this, so I'll do this, right? So, like, really being clear with what you can do and can't do and asking people for help, because I think in the end, people are willing to help if they like you and they know what they can expect of you. Whereas if you're just asking for help, then that doesn't help. That's a bit difficult either. But being very clear about your needs and capabilities, I think, a lot of colleagues who do that have been successful in that role.
Right. And that also requires you to already have a pretty strong relationship with all your teammates and colleagues, right? So that's, I guess, going back to mindset and being like, this is what I need, but this is also the help I need, but also still having that very strong bond with your colleagues. Do you want to add to it?
So I don't have kids, I have cats. For me, or then hopefully I'm going to I hope that I'm going to have human babies, but I have my furry babies at the moment. And actually it's my ongoing dilemma of some sort, because I was actually offered an opportunity to work in San Bruno, it's YouTube headquarters, for 2 months, starting from April, actually. So that was a fantastic opportunity. And then the first thing that I started thinking was, okay, oh, what's going to happen to my babies, cats? Who is going to take care of them? And then I actually have a long-term partner. And so, I wasn't sure if he was actually willing to take care of my babies when I'm away. So that's actually, the question is really spot on for me. But I think, the point that you just mentioned, that, being able to be clear in terms of what, your needs, and then also, warn them, like everybody around you, and then that, the basic needs that you're going to, have to be ticked. And then if you need time to think, and then you should take the time. And I think also, I know it's hard, but I think I have a luxury of working for a company like Google, which basically, allows women to really think about that. And also, I think it's really, I really hope that, women will talk more about their own needs related to their life choices. And then this is really the way that we can really change, how, people really think about, taking opportunities. And thinking about the time to have baby. And I really hope that it will never be a, question in 5 years' time.
Absolutely. All right. So it's no right timing, just all about mindset, and just go for it. All right. Yeah, I tried my best. I think we have time for one more question. Yeah. Is that it? Anyone have one more? Oh, we have one right there in the second row.
Sorry. Thank you for the inspiring story today. I'm so inspired, actually. And long time no talk in English, so let me talk in Japanese. Sorry. グローバルな人になるためには、自分の意見を言えるようにならなければいけないという話もあったかと思うんですけれども、男性社会の中で女性が自分の意見を言うっていうことすらもはばかれてしまうような雰囲気の中でどうグローバライズしていくのかっていうことと、それはもうそういうドメスティックなところではなくてもグローバルなところに自分の身を置くっていう考え方になってしまうのか、そこら辺のところをちょっとお聞きしたいなっていうふうに思ってます。
All right, so I'm just going to translate the question for the video. So I think the question was around how do you become a global talent even in a very male-dominated society, right? So is it about just being that contact person for global, or what advice do you have for just being in a very male-centric role, I guess? And that happens a lot in the IT world. We know firsthand, right? Does that cover your question? Okay.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Who has an answer to this? So let's start with the IT world.
Okay. I think it is actually a very difficult question. But actually, I kind of have my own self-positioning in the company. And so I'm basically the loudest one. So this is how people understand me. And I think, and I know that it's really hard to, create your own positioning in the organization. But I think it always helps to create the positioning for the person that you want to be. So you might be a very demure Japanese lady and then not willing to talk so much in front of male counterparts. But if you start, if you decide that you're actually the loudest one in this group, and I'm going to advertise myself as the loudest person in this group, and then they will get used to you. And also, seriously, but it's going to take time, and you may actually encounter some objections from very traditional-minded people. Yes, you do have that, but what I think maybe we could also do is really to make sure that while you'll be the loudest person in the room, but also you're the best listener. And also just make sure that you respect why the other person actually react negatively to your lady speaking. Because it's not because of him, it's because of the culture, because of the social thinking. And then so this is the challenge that you're facing, not the person. So, once you actually establish yourself and then know who you want to be, and then once you understand why that objection comes from, and then start respecting that. And I think, that's where how you can actually make the breakthrough. But having said that, still I'm learning, and maybe I'm too loud, for some crowd, but, I'm still working for that.
No, I think that's really good advice. We always talk about, get yourself out there, speak up, but rarely do we talk about really listen right? And so it's all about not just projecting, but also taking in. That's really good advice. Ladies, have anything to add?
I think it's really going to be tough, of course, but I would say not to give up. I think the global thinking, again, that you know that the way that women are treated inside these meetings, that's not acceptable for you. There are other ways in other countries. Women can have power. You can have power too. And it's going to take exactly what you say, respect the guidelines of the culture, respect the game, but use the game to your advantage. Be smarter than them. Know when to say, know when to listen, but have confidence. Know that what you are fighting for, what you have to say, has to be heard. It's important enough to be heard. So I want to inspire you to have the confidence to speak, and you will be able to do it.
Thank you so much.
I think another aspect of this is don't be afraid to become the alien in a way, because in a way you will never fit into the male hierarchy because you are a woman, right? But the way I've actually used it to my advantage is, because you're different, people actually accept that you say different things because they don't know how to place you. Especially the client companies who are very male dominant, very seniority driven, don't know what to do. And someone like me, especially when I was in my 20s, consultant, female, all of a sudden starts doing a presentation. Like that has never happened in their company before. So they're like, okay, it's kind of a shock. So that can work to benefits. I also have seen, I myself am a pretty talkative person, as you can guess, and probably that's the reason we've all been called here. But actually, a lot of women who are more soft-spoken, when they speak at the right timing, after all the male people, all the men, say all these different things, speak in a soft-spoken voice, actually that gets heard pretty well. So I think it's trying to find what fits your character. If you are a talkative chit-chat person, use that to your benefit. But if you are a more calm, resumed kind of person, I think you can also use that as a strength because we are different, and difference actually makes impact. Like you can't force someone who's reserved to become party girl all of a sudden, right? So.
But use it to your advantage.
Yeah. But the key thing is find your style, which works for you, where you can be confident in talking.
So many advice I can share to my colleagues and friends. Thank you very much.
So find your brand and just go with it. Yeah. Just work it to your advantage.
It could be oba-chan, or it could be like girl, or it could be, calm, reserved, one-san, or what, there are many variations of what kind of women style you can take.
Using it in a smart way, right? All right. So I think we have one more question. All right, we have one more question from the cafe that we're live streaming from.
Another question from the N Cafe, and it's about leadership. It's a very big challenge in Japan to become a woman leader because there's so few of them. What is your advice for being able to raise your hand? What is your advice for what makes an amazing woman leader?
Any advice?
I can start. The most important thing is to believe in yourself. Believe in what you're going to be able to accomplish, in the potential that you have. Have confidence. It's not going to be easy. People are going to try to knock you down. But if you believe in yourself, it will be possible. And work hard, and you will get there. So don't give up at the starting line. Push yourself. You need to believe in yourself because that's the engine that's going to get you there.
To add on to that, I think just really think back. And what are you actually going to lose by the challenge? It's really not that much. Like one stand-up in a meeting to talk out, take leadership, but you're not always good on your first try in any case. But not all of the men are good leaders from day one either, right? So it is something you acquire as you learn on. But if you don't take that first challenge and you're not, if you're taking that, it's not even a risk. It's just taking the challenge and seeing if it works. Without experience, leadership does not come in a day. So. Just take as many as you can. Yeah, and sorry, just to add with leadership as well, that actually for leadership, it's you each have your own leadership style. There isn't one mold of a leader. So to find that leadership style, that's you, only you know. But that's quite positive and reinforcing for us, at least, as well.
And I think that's an excellent point, and I'm learning so much today. But I think another thing is probably to make sure that you're the biggest critic of yourself. It's basically, I think achievement is for you. not for anyone to be, like the biggest audience yourself is yourself. So by making sure that you have the highest standard that you actually can think for yourself, and then making sure that you learn every day and then polish yourself every day, and if you try to achieve that every day, then that attitude itself is already so admirable, and then that's really can ultimately earn respect. So I think in addition to all those great points, I think that's probably another important point that I'd like to add.
Wow. I kind of want you all as voice recordings as my alarm clock. Be like, wake up every morning, be like, be confident.
And you'll start slamming us.
Yeah.
Right?
That would just. I'll set it at a later time so I wake up peacefully. All right. I think that concludes our Q&A session. So I want to thank you ladies for being here today. I know you guys had to make arrangements. A lot of time and effort went into this. So thank you so much. And I hope you all learned, from these three successful women for being here. So please give them a big round of applause for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just to express our gratitude. So thank you. So thank you again.
Everyone, I think it's time now for our networking time, so we will all go to the 30th floor at N Cafe for the networking time. Please enjoy. Thank you so much.